Breaking news. What you're about to see is not just a lost battle. It's the collapse of the myth of the invincible Russian tank. The T-90Ms, once the pride of Moscow and the symbol of its military power, were destroyed within hours by Ukrainian drones that cost only a fraction of their value. A scene that completely changed the way modern warfare is understood. Subscribe if you believe intelligence and technology have defeated the power of steel. Or comment if you think Russia is merely waiting for its revenge. Stay until the end, because what happened in Shakov was not just a defeat, it was a warning for the future. By late October 2025, the shocking figure of over 11,200 destroyed Russian tanks marked the collapse of an obsolete military model. Among them were thousands of Soviet relics, heavy machines built to consume ammunition rather than win battles. But what truly stunned the world was not those rusty leftovers. It was the fall of the T-90M Proryv, Russia's most advanced tank, presented by Putin himself as the best in the world. After a year in storage and hundreds of millions spent in production, the first T-90Ms were deployed near Donetsk in an offensive that barely lasted a single day. On the night of Shakov, Russia's entire mechanized strategy turned into smoking scrap metal. The question is, why did Russia's most advanced tank fail so quickly? And what does this mean for the future of warfare in the drone era? Putin publicly praised the T-90M in 2023, claiming it could approach any position with high precision, extended range, and enhanced protection. Between 2024 and 2025, Moscow amassed between 280 and 300 units produced in factories like Uralvagonzavod. They featured optical upgrades, reactive armor, and defensive systems designed to break through fortified Ukrainian lines in the east. The plan was to capture the village of Shakov, a key logistics hub in the Donetsk region. The offensive, launched on October 27th, assembled 36 tanks, including several T-90Ms, 40 reconnaissance motorcycles, armored vehicles, and elite Marine infantry brigades. Commanders expected the bikes to draw enemy fire, allowing the tanks to advance, an outdated Soviet tactic. But Ukraine had prepared a layered defense combining mines, artillery, and coordinated drone strikes directed by real-time intelligence systems. As the Russian columns moved forward, the flat terrain made them easy targets for Ukrainian sensors. Within minutes, mines destroyed the first vehicles, and drones struck from above with surgical precision. In just a few hours, more than half of the Russian force was neutralized. 3 T-90Ms, 16 armored transports, and 41 motorcycles were destroyed. Over 100 soldiers were lost. Morale collapsed instantly, and evacuation attempts turned chaotic. That same night, Ukrainian suicide drones attacked the remnants of the retreating convoy, wiping out the survivors. By dawn, Shakov was empty. The assault had completely failed. The T-90M, once considered a technological jewel, is armed with a 125mm cannon capable of firing guided missiles up to 5 kilometers, relinked reactive armor, active protection systems, and a top speed of 60 kilometers per hour. On paper, it offers a balance between power and mobility. Yet on the modern battlefield, those advantages crumble against low-flying FPV drones that evade radar and strike weak points, engines, grills, or the top of the chassis. Ukraine produces thousands of such drones every month, with growing accuracy rates. Operators use live video feeds to guide their strikes, turning even the most expensive tanks into easy targets. Smart mines, UAV-guided artillery, and loitering munitions complete a defense network that neutralizes heavy armor long before it can respond. Even with Russia's attempts to add metal cages and extra armor, guided munitions and mines still punch through. Reports indicate that about 70% of advanced tanks are abandoned by their crews before reaching their targets. Top attack weapons like Javelin missiles add another lethal layer, hovering before plunging directly onto the tank's roof, its weakest point. Comment 1 if you think Ukraine was right to use drones and intelligence to defeat Russia. 2 if you believe Putin is merely waiting for his counterattack. Or 3 if you think no tank on Earth will ever again dominate the battlefield in this new technological era. Thousands of javelins supplied to Ukraine have shown a hit rate above 90%, rendering many Russian designs, still based on Cold War standards, completely obsolete. Moreover, the T-90M retains a fatal flaw inherited from the old T-72: ammunition stored beneath the crew's seats, with no separation from the combat compartment. Any penetration can trigger a catastrophic internal explosion. Images of turrets being blown sky-high became common. Analysts call it the spinning turret syndrome, caused by hits to the tank's electrical or sensor systems. Crews often abandon their vehicles before they're completely disabled. With a cost of roughly $4.5 million per unit and a production rate of only 5 to 10 tanks per month, each loss is a major economic blow. Studies show the T-90M was never tested in a real modern war environment before the Ukraine conflict. Its improvements relied on limited simulations and controlled trials. The result? Electronic vulnerabilities, sensor failures, and inadequate armor against precision weaponry. By 2025, Russian production could no longer compensate for the massive frontline losses. The failure at Shakov had symbolic consequences. Inside Russia, the Kremlin ordered strategic reviews and faced backlash over the cost and effectiveness of the war. Polls showed growing skepticism among citizens and declining support for prolonging the conflict. The collapse of the T-90M's reputation even hit Russia's arms industry. India, one of its main buyers, canceled an order for 469 units worth $2 billion, choosing more reliable French tanks instead. Other Asian nations also cut back interest in Russian equipment. Defense expos reported a 30% drop in foreign inquiries, while domestic production struggled under sanctions and component shortages. Socially, the defeat raised questions about Russia's technological capabilities. Internal surveys revealed that 40% of citizens lost confidence in the nation's defense systems. Meanwhile, Ukraine's morale and global image soared. Its victory at Shakov became a textbook example of how innovation and coordination can overpower brute force. Ukrainian media highlighted the efficiency of its integrated defenses and the teamwork between engineers, artillery units, and drone operators. This model drew increased international support, boosting technological and financial aid by 15%. The Battle of Shakov wasn't merely a tactical failure for Russia, it was the end of an era and the fall of a carefully crafted myth. The T-90Ms, once paraded as Moscow's ultimate weapon and stored for over a year as a secret trump card, were wiped out in hours. Not by a numerically superior force, but by a Ukrainian defense rooted in precision, strategy, and technology. Hidden mines, guided artillery, and swarms of drones attacking from every angle. The outcome didn't just destroy metal, it shattered faith in a model of warfare that no longer fits the 21st century. The thickest armor or most powerful gun no longer guarantees victory. Today, the difference lies in tactical intelligence, digital coordination, and adaptability to an enemy that flies, thinks, and reacts in real time. Modern war is no longer measured in tons of metal, but in bits, data, and drones that decide the fate of armies before tanks even begin to roll. More than 11,200 Russian tanks destroyed, a 90% loss rate, and the cancellation of international contracts once seen as symbols of prestige expose a truth Moscow can no longer hide. The age of heavy armor is ending. What once represented strength now stands as vulnerability before a new generation of weapons that need neither crews nor armor to win. Drones guided by artificial intelligence and operated from kilometers away are redefining the battlefield. They don't tire, they don't hesitate, and they strike with surgical precision where luck once ruled. No matter how advanced, tanks no longer dominate. They are visible, slow, and expensive targets. Perhaps the future of war does not belong to roaring beasts of steel that crawl over the earth, but to autonomous machines that rule the sky, cold, silent, and increasingly lethal. And so ends the story of the so-called invincible tank. The T-90M, pride of Russia's military industry, was reduced to scrap in a single day, under the buzz of Ukrainian drones that cost less than one of its tracks. A defeat that destroys not only machines, but myths. Are we witnessing the end of the tank era, or the beginning of a new war where drones decide who lives and who falls? Comment if you think technology has just buried the past, or if Russia still has an ace up its sleeve. Subscribe, because what comes next may change warfare forever, and perhaps even the balance of the world.